if you go under Board of Trustees. So, thank you.
When I am a student, I came here in January. I was a woman in tech, and unfortunately with people who think they are going to help you, they don't. They take advantage of you, and I came here because of Free City to start over. I knew nothing about machine shop and technology, but I took machine shop, I took metal arts and casting and fabrication, and I'm studying the intersection of science and manufacturing and art. And I have realized how much City College, the teachers, have done for me. But the administrators and I had no idea you were the board president. You told me that you would support women in engineering. You told me to my face in the Maker Library. You promised me that my CNC class, my computer numerical control class would be reinstated. I told everyone in summer welding, everyone in machine shop, I volunteered hundreds of hours fixing things in wood shop and being an immobilizing agent to show that women and children of refugees and immigrants can do it and bring manufacturing and job creation back to the Bay Area. You told me, I emailed, I followed up, I went to the consultants meeting when no one advertised. Do you know the consultants get overpaid and they don't even ask what language do these surveys need to be administered in? I am taking 9 classes here, 6 days a week on 3 different campuses. I know how hard the custodial students work. I'm missing class right now during finals week to come here to tell you CNC class is not even on the schedule this upcoming semester. $350,000 in grant funding was used for the makerspace and for manufacturing. There's not that many women in manufacturing. You know what I'm doing? I'm going to SF Made. I'm working with manufacturers. Jewelers on their own, like my manufacturing friends, can be considered individual manufacturers. If you're not helping the students that are right now, that are in the schools, then shame on you. I'd rather have less money for the administrators and more for my teacher. There's one teacher who's in my machine shop class. He's the only male that has helped me, the only woman in class. And he drives from Stockton every day for an hour and a half, and he's been here since '88.
It's budget, and you cut departments' budgets by different amounts for different departments. And she said that in some departments, there resulted in them not being able to have, or let me rephrase that, resulted in their having to cut classes that had healthy enrollments. What is your response to that? That seems like a bad idea.
One of the things that we have to look at is what our definitions of healthy are.
So I'm from the Registered Nursing Department. I am the chair. I am here to keep my program strong and to keep City strong. The only way we can keep this place strong is with more faculty. Recently I was told I had 2 positions for faculty, and then I was told I had 1. And these people were okayed through the FPUC in 2017. How can I keep, my program is at risk as I may not have enough faculty to be in compliance with the BRN and to keep our, I feel I'm going to fail our students. You want to talk about enrollment? The RN program enrolls from 168 to 108 students a semester. That's 360 students a year. We graduate 38 to 48 students twice a year. That's 76 to 96 students a year. We are recipients of the Gold Star Award from the Strong Workforce. We are a vital program in City College. This is what I need to grow. More faculty for student success. It's our city.
And looking at what are our different targeted, average enrollments for different sectors of the college. What's our target for average enrollment in GE lecture classes versus science labs versus all the other sorts of different offerings that we have. I will say that when we look at some of the analysis that we've done in terms of the student impact, we have looking at, for example, our associate degree offerings and what are the required courses that students need to complete associate degrees. We find that students still have options to take, in terms of the classes. I don't believe we're going to have any impact in students being able to complete any programs that they're hoping certainly, the Chancellor's talked about that, and it's something that we're looking at going into next year as well. What are the courses that students need to be able to complete the programs? How are we offering that? How are we making sure we schedule sufficient numbers of classes for the anticipated number of students that we're hoping to enroll in those different programs?
So are you saying that it might be okay to cut a class that has, say, 25 students, typically, as long as there is room in other classes?
What I'm saying is that there may be needs for us to run a class with 35 and 40 students, rather than run several classes of 22 students, depending upon the area of the class, so that we have sufficient enrollment in that class to support some of the, some parts of the college that we have limitations on. There are programs at our college that have limitations in a variety of different ways, whether it's the science lab and the capacity and the number of Bunsen burners in the chemistry lab, or it's the nursing department and there's a student-teacher ratio that's mandated by the Board of Registered Nursing in the hospitals that we're operating in. We have to find some balance there, and we have to make sure that we have enough strong enrollment in areas where we can have strong enrollment, so that we can support the programs that cannot have or do not have, and yet we still value high numbers of students.
Okay, let me ask another question. I'm hearing, well, just to step back, one of the things we want to do is grow enrollment and back to full enrollment, and one of the stated ways we've said that we're going to do that is by creating new curricula, new courses to attract new students. However, I'm hearing from some of the departments that they don't have the resources that they need to do that. And one area was computer science, which seems like an area ripe that we could expand.
My former department.
Yes, yeah. But not to pick on computer science, but I'm hearing that they don't have the resources. Do you think that's just for this current semester, or?
I think we have some things that we need to. I think there are some things that we have to look at as we move forward with the development of our schedule.
We're working in absolute chaos, and I think many of us would say the same. We work with technology that is failing. I work in a building with no heat. One of my colleagues has been waiting for 2 years for fluorescent tubes to be replaced. We're still waiting. Then as the issue for my students, the class cuts are coming to the point that students' ability to graduate or transfer are being jeopardized. I worked with a student who requested the Physics 2AC to be added back into the schedule, and I think he's been successful. I had seen him prior to that, and he was extremely upset. That class affects not only physics students, I'm sorry, not physics, but biology and architecture students, and that class was summarily removed from the schedule for no apparent reason. Now we're dealing with the Math 100B that will affect many majors, not on the schedule. Why? I don't know. Then I am very concerned about my administrative chain. I had that as another issue.
You have 2 issues also?
Yes.
Give her a minute.
You're Donna?
Hayes, I brought up 2 issues. I had issues with class cuts and my administration.
Oh, I just had a general concern
No.
about the college class cuts.
No, I had 2 issues.
All right, 1 minute.
Okay, I'm very concerned about my administrative chain. They have been not consulting with us at all. One of ours has apparently just left. Another may be gone. We have problems with, for example, this. One of our administrators told us that when our ed planning program doesn't work, to just have students come back. We have had issues of our division name was changed without any consultation with us. We have no consultation at all with our administration. Changes are made with no consideration for what we are involved with. We are being hurt. Our students are being hurt. We are now being forced to encourage students to graduate when they may not need to graduate. And we just had the letter that went out to students telling them to come in because they graduated. They're close to graduation or have a certificate. These students were nowhere near graduation, or they graduated already and they got a letter about this. It's a mess. And we really wish to be working with,
Mentioned that, looking at that for next semester, there are, students are able to take all of the required courses. And in some cases, we are offering not just one of the 3 electives that a student needs to complete a particular degree, we're offering all 3 of them. And so that's for a program that is, maybe not having 10 graduates a year. And so I think those are the sorts of things that we have to start thinking about is so how do we create the room in the schedule, in the budget, to be able to innovate? And part of that is going to be looking at, okay, well, maybe we're not offering every single option every single semester, but we're making some good strategic choices about the options that we're offering that still meet student educational needs, that still get students who want to proceed to graduation there, but then give us a little bit of breathing room so that we can do some experimentation with new programs and try things out.
Well, I think some of the observations that I hear seem to be about the structure. So, a certain department, in order to grow their program, they need more full-time faculty, or they need something else. But that doesn't go above the one level above the department chair, and they feel that they never get to get to explain it. So I'm just passing that
Okay.
along.
No, I appreciate the
Yeah.
Ellie Wynn.
Yes, that's me. I've taught ESL here at City College since 1990. Our ESL program, through our non-credit ESL program, we provide the single broadest pathway into credit and beyond. Cutting classes in non-credit narrows that pathway and reduces the flow of students into credit. It's basically counterproductive. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. One of my classes, I have 40 students this semester. I usually have about 20 in class. 28 of those students arrived after week 3. The most recent arrived last week. You might say, why does a student enroll 2 weeks before the end of the semester? Because they just got off the boat. They are desperate to learn English. 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours is a godsend to them. It gets them into the program. It keeps them coming back in January in the next semester. Our master's degree program graduates faculty is trained to accommodate them, to include them into the...
Good evening, trustees, President Davila, Vice President Randolph, Chancellor Rocha. I'd like to start my report by inviting you all to AFT's annual holiday party. It's going to be held on tomorrow from 3 to 6 at the Pierre Cost Dining Room here on the Ocean Campus. Invitations here, can I pass them? Thank you. Unfortunately, after my report, you may feel like this is less of an invitation than a dare. 2 months ago, I reported that department chairs had been issued spring budgets with reductions in FTEF between 5% and 20%. Looking at those spring reductions now, I see 19% reduction in FTF for fashion, 47% reduction in journalism, Asian studies, 25% reduction in FTEF. Those are just some examples. Thank you, Madeline, for doing the math on that. As a result of these budget cuts, departments were forced to preemptively reduce their spring course offerings. In many cases, that forced them to eliminate classes with healthy enrollment histories because they just didn't have the FTEF to run those classes. We were assured that those reductions were based on enrollment history and were meant to right-size the spring schedule so that we didn't offer classes that might end up being canceled. That data-driven spring schedule, we were told, was inoculated against the virus of late-stage class cancellations. And yet, the Chancellor has refused AFT's demand to hold harmless the already downsized spring schedule. The question that faculty are asking, and the question that we would like you all to ask, is why? If the spring schedule, with its 47 FTEF, that is 47 full-time equivalent faculty reduction, was right-sized, why are we still planning to cut? If downsizing department budgets preemptively was a good strategy, why would we need more cancellations? Perhaps the answer lies in the rollout of the new Better 9 system that had so many problems reported to us. The system left many students confused, unable to register, there was no browsing function, some students were locked out. The cross-listing of courses were not visible. I'm looking at the guardsman now. This is from one student. I had to manually put my classes in at Smith Hall. It made me feel like everything was put together last minute. I had to put all my CRN numbers in 3 times before it finally worked. Felt a little worried. So maybe that's the issue. That's the concern. With students looking at this new unfamiliar system, and with so many reports of problems, common sense dictates that more students will need to register in person this semester, and thus that enrollment will benefit from allowing classes to run for the first few weeks of semester, so students can come to class and register there. Given these factors, AFT demanded that the college hold our already reduced spring schedule harmless against further reductions, which will only serve to turn away and disappoint our students. And I made this analogy in our meeting with the Chancellor yesterday, that even if you'll never hear me making a business analogy about education, okay? Our students are not customers, but even in a business analogy, you don't turn away someone who's there already. Even in a business analogy, it costs you 5 times more to get a new so-called customer, right? So we have people out doing this outreach. We have people from the CTE department doing outreach to get high school students into those classrooms, into those seats, and then having those classes canceled. Those students are just turning around and shrugging their shoulders and this school. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to turn away and disappoint our students. Instead of cutting further from the classroom, why not cut in places that don't shut out students? Our administration budget has held at $8 million since last year. Meanwhile, the department chair's budget has been slashed. The administration budget has in fact grown by $1 million since 2015-16. And now we're looking at cutting classes before we're looking at cutting there. Why? You'll hear from the Chancellor that the Banner 9 rollout has not hurt enrollment, and that the spring schedule was not shrunk, but merely adjusted to direct FTEF resources towards classes that the data show will fill. But so the question is, then why plan for cuts? Why are we planning to cut if all of that is true? If Banner 9 was great, if enrollment is going great, why can't we hold our classes harmless? Let those classes roll until the end of the ad period. You'll also hear from the Chancellor that he met with AFT to consult about our spring schedule, but we did not find this meeting to be a consultation. It was an address, and frankly it felt like damage control. In spite of hearing for months that he plans to grow the college, not shrink it, yesterday we were told to expect a much smaller faculty, and that, quote, our job is to graduate students. Our job is to graduate students. That may be all that the state chancellor or the governor or Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever wants us to do, but you trustees have been elected by the people of this city. You've been entrusted by the people of this city with rebuilding a thriving community college with a rich, diverse curriculum that serves our whole community. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that 40% of City College's classes are non-credit courses that don't count towards that goal of graduating students. 40% of our courses fall immediately outside that imperative. These classes serve a vast population of newcomers to this country, immigrant families who desperately want to learn English or build skills or gain citizenship or just find their way in a confusing new country. On behalf of the faculty, I want to just remind you of your duty to the people who elected you and who've entrusted you with keeping our administration true to our vision of a diverse, accessible college that truly serves this whole community.